Back at it like a bad habit with another video. This one is opinion based, and I want to touch on a few different topics here. One is some people don't understand what we're doing and they think it's not going to work on how to fight this. And what I mean is Sony killing physical media at the end of next year, December 2027, will be the last rollout of discs on PS5. And there are multiple ways of fighting this. Right now, as of today, I'm not trying to tear down Sony and the empire that they've built. Right now, I'm trying to flesh out my collection and just curb my spending habits. I already wasn't on PS Plus, but canceling that subscription is one way you can fight this. I understand not everyone is willing to do that. My last digital purchase was in June. A couple VR games, Metro Awakening and The Midnight Walk. I haven't bought any digital purchases since, but I did buy 4 PS5 games and 3 PS4 games on disc. And we bought as a collective, collectors, whether you consider yourself a collector or someone who just likes to buy discs for whatever reason, we as a collective have spent $1.5 billion just last year alone on 70 million discs for PS5. Now, Ghost of Yotei is reported to sell 35% physical copies. It becomes much lower for games like Resident Evil Requiem. 28% were physical sales when just counting PlayStation. This is not counting PC sales, not counting Nintendo or Xbox sales. Just on PlayStation, it was 28%, and it was nearly 1 million discs in just 6 months or less. And then it gets lower. 007, despite being a key disc without a code on it, it still sold 21% physical copies on PlayStation. Crimson Desert was nearly 20%. FC 26 soccer game was only 12% physical. And that's basically the data that we have. Spider-Man 2 was 45% physical, was a 2023 game. And the further you go back, the higher the percentages are, and it is a downward trend. However, people like to point out that GTA 6, people are going to buy it, and so this is a lost cause. Okay, not every franchise is GTA. Not every franchise is Call of Duty. Not every franchise has 30 million or 20 million fan base supporting it. A lot of franchises have 5 million, 10 million, 5 million even, sometimes even 4, 3, 2 million supporters only. And some of us are supporting it with a physical copy. Now, some people say, well, you're still supporting Sony, you're still paying them. Well, yeah. I want to show up on Sony's radar and saying we still want discs. That's why you see these 6 games right here on the bottom shelf. Those all came out in the last 12 months, right? There are more games that I bought, but they're older than a 12-month period. These 6 are my newest ones. They all came out between September and August in the last 12 months. The only way to show up on Sony's radar is by buying discs right now. By saying, hey, we're just gonna boycott them and not pay them nothing, or I'm done. It just tells Sony, hey, we were right. Look, disc sales haven't increased, they've decreased. And that's not gonna get what we want. That's not gonna get our goal for them to continue printing discs in 2028. Now, will it work? I think so. I'm very optimistic. Maybe it doesn't work. Okay, let's say it doesn't work. Let's say January 2028 comes around and we don't see any games printed on disc in 2028. Okay, that's when the boycott really starts. That's when the war starts. That's when we say, absolutely not. Ragnarok sold a good 15 million copies across 2 platforms. Laffy Taffy, as RGT85 likes to call it. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Kratos' wife who's been sent to hell. And it's an interesting concept. I will get it just as a collector for the collection because it's an exclusive, right? But when 2028 comes around and God of War 6 or the Kratos trilogy remakes are digital only, I'm not going to support that. And if 3 to 5 million of us, 3, 4, 5 million of us collectors say absolutely not, then I don't think they're going to sell 15 million copies. They might not even sell 10 million. This franchise is not as popular as it was on PS4. It's not. Neither is Horizon, which sold, I think, 10 million copies. Same with Ghost of Tsushima, sold about 10 million copies. And if this is the direction they want to take this, we can fight this by saying we're not going to support it when it is digital only. And you're not going to sell 10 million copies for a lot of these franchises. I think Astrobot is at 4 million, correct me if I'm wrong. Housemarque, they can't even sell 1 million copies of their game, whether it's Saros or Returnal. I thought Returnal was a good game. I haven't bought Saros. I don't think it looks like it's worth 70, or even it's on sale now for 50. I don't think it's worth that. Will I get it? Yes, absolutely. I will support it at 30, 35 bucks, half price. If Housemarque comes out with a digital game in 2028, I'm not supporting that. I don't need, God of War is not in my top 10 franchises. It's okay. I don't need that. In fact, I don't think there is a single Sony exclusive in my top 10. Now, I do love Wolverine. My 2 superheroes are Wolverine and Batman, and I'm not really into any other superheroes other than those 2. Marvel is too big to fail. We cannot do anything to MLB. We cannot fight anything that's Marvel that comes out. We cannot fight GTA or Call of Duty, but there's no need to. Sony makes these games. They spend around $200 million producing these games, $200 million budget. And they could just not make a profit for all I care if it's digital content. I want code on disc. I skipped 007 for being a key, and I wanted that game. The only games that you'll see in this collection that are key discs are from Xbox, just because my PlayStation is an Xbox, they told me, so I wanted that full experience without buying an Xbox. And Gran Turismo 7, I do believe, is a key because it's more than 100 gigabytes. Other than that, you're not getting a pass. I'll probably get GTA 6 because it probably won't even fit on 2 discs. Like Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth is 150 gigabytes and it's on 2 discs, and it's not a key. But games like 007, Turok, if those are key discs, I don't want them. Hopefully Turok is on the disc because I do want that. Not at full price, but I do want that. Red Dead Redemption right there was 25 bucks, factory sealed. Starfield, I believe, is 40 right now. A lot of these games you can get for real cheap. I think Chronos is 30, I think. You can get these games for pretty cheap and support this movement. And you know, 70 million discs last year can turn into 100 million plus discs next year. Our combined spending on PS5 discs at $1.5 billion from last year can increase to over $2 billion on PS5 discs next year, because a lot of us are canceling our subscriptions. We are saying absolutely not to digital content, and we used to buy it. And we're using that money and buying more discs. And so if Sony says, hey, you know what, we were wrong. This is more than $2 billion every year in revenue. And the backlash on top of that is just not worth it. I think they can backpedal. I think they can even say, hey, we're just gonna do this for our exclusives, and your third-party games will still be printed on a disc in 2028. I think they could go that route, and Sony would still be happy because they're still making, you know, they're still cutting out the middleman for their exclusives. I still will not support those games digitally if they do that. But of course I would still support Sony, and there is some kind of middle ground where we can meet in the middle, and I would be happy with that, instead of me having to buy an $800 Xbox in 2028 and a $500 Nintendo Switch 2 in 2028, so I can finish out this fucking gen and flesh out my collection. And I will not be happy if I have to do that, but I will. Now I'm at something like 60 white label PS5 games. I think 9 of them are remastered, like this Red Dead Redemption here from PS4. I have about the same amount in PSVR 2, and the rest are PS5 games from 2020 to 2026. Now my plan was to continue this collection until 2029, December 2029, and then I was gonna buy a PlayStation 6 in 2030 and start a whole new cabinet full of PS6 games. Well, that plan is completely out the window. What do I need a PS6 for if I can't collect? I like playing these, I do play these games, but that's half of it for me personally. The other half, I get equal amount of enjoyment just collecting these and displaying these on the shelves. So, you know, in my curated collection, this says this is me, this is what I like. You're not gonna see a whole lot of Melee games. You'll see some, but you won't see a lot in this collection. Now, on to the title of this video, the end of PlayStation. Yes, I do believe this is the end of PlayStation. Now, let me be clear, it's not the end yet. I believe PlayStation 5 will sell between 140 to 150 million units in the next 5 years or so. Part of the reason being because GTA 6 and Modern Warfare 4 are coming out, plus Wolverine. Those are 3 huge franchises that casuals support in mass. And they are coming. They are coming. The tourists are here. They are already paying attention. They're starting to pay attention more. They're starting to comment more, and they will be supporting those franchises, guaranteed. There's lots of sports games coming out as well. Now, also, PS6 is $800, $900, $1,000. The prices just keep going up, it seems. Yes, Xbox Series S is $500 now. Series X is $800 for the 1 terabyte. 2 terabyte that was $800 has been discontinued. I've looked on Target, it's already here. PlayStation 5 might increase in January. They say they have enough memory secured to build enough PlayStations till January. If PS6 is nearly $1,000, it's not going to sell very well. You don't have the collector support, which is a huge backbone of millions of us. You don't have the support of the casual tourist who doesn't want to spend that much money. Hell, I don't want to spend that much money, but I would have some way, somehow came up with the money after it's been out a couple years. I think it's going to sell around 25 million, 30 million units and flop, the PS6. Unless they do something super drastic, like sell it with no CPU and you got to buy a CPU separate, like a PC, which would be tight because then you can pick your own frame rate based on your budget and upgrade it later on. That would be dope, and it would keep the cost down of the initial purchase, making it easier for someone to purchase it with one paycheck and then purchase a CPU in another paycheck, like we did with our SSD, you know, with our SSD upgrade. That's a very PC option. Maybe no controller even, and making it backward compatible with the PS5 controller. I don't know. These are ways to keep the cost down. But if it is 800 plus, it's not going to sell, but that will make PS5 sell even better. If PS6 flops at 25, 30 million, expect there to be cross-gen indefinitely on PS5. And there might not even be a PlayStation 7. And this could be the end of PlayStation.